personally think this is a paradigm shift. I think this is right up there with the dawn of the .com and the dawn of the internet. We're just barely starting to scratch the surface of what AI can do, and we'll talk about this, I think, as we go on in our discussions. But we're just now scratching the surface. I think the genie's out of the bottle. I don't think there's any putting it back.
Welcome back to the 12 Days of Cybersecurity. I'm excited to dig into question 2. Is this a fad? Will AI just kind of go away with MySpace?
So I think the genie's out of the bottle. I don't think there's any putting it back. And I worry that if we overregulate it and we inhibit our ability to develop this technology, that other nations and stuff will continue it. So we have to make sure that we stay at the forefront. And I think that it's not a fad. It's a paradigm shift.
Randy, your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely not a fad. I would say that in certain cases, some people might view specific instances as a fad, which is probably the case. So if you think about all of the things people are doing with ChatGPT, it's fun, it's exciting, it's novel. A lot of those things are probably a fad, but there are things that ChatGPT is very good at, and there are things that other AI are very good at as well. And so, to me, Troy mentioned the dawn of the internet. I think of the dawn of the internet as, I realized it was created back in the the 60s with DARPA, but I was building websites. That was my first company. You can tell how well that went. I'm not a very good website builder, but in 1996, I was building websites, and everything changed when everything started to move to the quote web, because it made sense. It made business sense that you could book tickets on an airplane without having to call somebody, and that's cheaper for the business. It's cheaper for the airline, and it's actually in a lot of cases more convenient for the user. So it makes business sense. AI, I think, it feels very similar to 1996 with websites, when everything started to move to the web because it made sense. Same thing with AI, right? It's definitely not a fad because it makes business sense. If you can take a person who's doing a very routine, tedious task, replace that with AI, and then that function with AI, and then move that person to a more higher level, more human role, that makes good business sense. And so I definitely don't think it's a fad. I also think it's important to consider the lifespan of AI, right? It's, ChatGPT popped up and everybody took interest in it earlier this year, but I did a presentation last week on AI, and I laid out a history. In 1942 is when Isaac Asimov, he's a science fiction writer, but he presented his 3 laws of robotics, right? You've probably seen him in the movies like I, Robot, where you have, the robot can't harm a human, it can't, let a human do harm, those kinds of things. That was over 80 years ago, right? So, things have been going on. In 1995, I think it was also an interesting stat. Businesses spent over $1 billion on AI technology. So that was very, in the grand scheme of things, that was a long time ago compared to, ChatGPT becoming famous a few months ago. $1 billion in 1995 dollars, that's a lot of money. And so it's not as if AI just sort of sprung out of the ground. It's been being developed. It just hasn't hit mainstream until very recently, but it's been, obviously, the initial concepts were 80 years ago. So that's a lot of words to say that no, it is definitely not a fad. It makes good business sense, and if you're not at least exploring AI tools, you're going to get left behind to some extent. So I would highly encourage people to not consider it a fad, and at least dig in and do some research.
Really great thoughts. I am curious to hear if AI thinks it's a fad, though. Lucas, what did ChatGPT have to say?
When plugged in, ChatGPT said, no, AI is not a fad. AI is a rapidly evolving field that has been gaining momentum for several decades. It involves the development of computer systems that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as learning, problem solving, perception, and language understanding. The interest and investment in AI have been growing steadily. and its applications span various industries, including healthcare, finance, education, and more. AI technologies like machine learning and deep learning have demonstrated significant advancements, leading to improvements in areas such as image and speech recognition, natural language processing, and autonomous systems.
Spot on once again, the brains and the computers are in line. But you did bring up you brought up a few things, Randy, which I think is interesting, and that's replacing a lot of manual human work, which I see that being a concern of, does AI take my job? And so I guess that'll be my next question, Randy, is this going to affect employment, and will AI take work?